Hello, hello, hello. It's a wonderful Monday afternoon here in the massive studio of Senior Talk US. My name is Lou Kosinski. I'm your docent through this particular show, and it's special, very special. Um, I don't know how to start. But I'll just let it happen, let it flow out. Uh, Today, I'm going to chat about not my life story, a story in my life. I've got a lot of them. This will be the first one. So, sorry, I was talking into the mic rather than the camera. Hello, camera. Hello out there. Please, please, please join me live by sending an email to Luke at seniortalk.us. Yes, that'll do it. And I'll respond to that email and send you a link, and then you can join the conversation. You can also join the conversation via chat. So all you have to do is, boom, send a little, you see it on the screen down there, or is it there? I'm not sure, but it's a little box. It's supposed to be present. Let me go here and make sure that that box appears. Not so sure it's there right now. Anyway, I'm winging it. All through my life, I've done it on a wing and a prayer. Wish I had the Bon Jovi song to prove it. Anyway, I'm going to share with you a short little story that was one of the stories in my life. I used to put in data communications networks, and a little brief dissertation on data communications. It started analog. Analog means a wave. Digital is bits and bytes, a 1 or a 0. So to transmit any information, you had to have a modem. Stands for modulate, demodulate. What's modulate? A wave. And they would do things to that wave, the modem would. It would take data in, and then we would modulate it, boom, 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 send it to the other end as a wave, like something you can hear. Actually, like the sound of my voice is a wave, and it's being digitized, but not using modems. It's on digital networks these days. Back in the old days, it was on analog networks. And in this case, it was leased lines from the telephone company. So anyway, you have a box at one end, you have a box at the other end, and it takes digital in, converts it to an analog wave, comes out the other end as bits and bytes, ones and zeros. So ones and zeros in, out, and the reverse happens and it turns it into digital. And as the data industry grew as it did more and more, and we're talking about, I believe it would be in the 80s at this point. That's when I started selling and installing these things called modulate, demodulate modems. Anyway, I had a customer in the Bay Area. San Francisco has two bridges, the Golden Gate and the Oakland Bay Bridge. Not at all like the picture of Miami behind me. So anyway, and I got to figure out this whole pixelation thing. If I put my hand forward or back, Oh, good. It's not pixelated. Well, it's pixelating my chair. It doesn't like to see my chair. So I am digressing. I'm sorry about that. I am in the Bay Area, specifically Emeryville area. And I was demonstrating these modems for a company. My name has been forgotten. I flew into Oakland, the Oakland airport, and I was finished up with the customer and I was hurrying to catch my flight. Now, that particular day was World Series Day in San Francisco. If you remember this, and maybe you know where I'm going with this. And there were not very many rent-a-cars. I couldn't get my normal, well, I don't get the mini one. I get kind of the economy size, mid size, like an Oldsmobile Cutlass at that time. Well, Enterprise, which I would rent from for various reasons, Enterprise didn't have a thing in that size. The only thing they could offer me was a Lincoln Continental Town Car. In other words, something the size of an earth mover. So I had this Lincoln Continental for a day or two, and I drove to several customers I had in the Bay Area. And I finished up in Emeryville, and I had to get back to the Oakland airport. So I am driving over on top of the 880 overpass on a World Series day. And I just cleared the 880 overpass. And my car started weaving in and out of its lanes. And I'm on the wheel. I'm like, what's going on here? And the radio station goes out. So I switch hands and I start punching the different buttons on the radio. You know, this is the old push button. Even though it was a Lincoln, it had push button. There was no nice soft buttons. They actually kind of went in and the needle on the screen moved to the various radio stations that were programmed into the buttons. Anyway, I couldn't get a single show. And the Lincoln is still moving around and I'm working on controlling it. So I get off at Hegenberger, which is the road to the Oakland airport. And I pull up to an intersection of a pretty substantial intersection, and all of the lights in the intersection are out. Gosh, and there's 3, maybe even 4 police cars parked off of the intersection. I was like, I was mad. They should be in that intersection directing traffic. It's dangerous to have no form of traffic control, right? You know, you could have guys barreling through other people. But anyway, at this time, the intersection was pretty damn clear. There weren't many people. So I continued, drove daintily across the intersection and took the ramp into the Oakland airport. And I went to the Enterprise return line. It was empty too. And this very nice lady, she was obviously a Christian, God-fearing lady. And she greeted me with, praise the Lord, he sure is powerful, praise the Lord. Very energetic. This is unusual greeting. And I said, well, I have to check this in because I've got a flight to catch. So, well, just park it over there and leave the keys in it. Note the mileage. I'm sure someone will get back to you. That was strange. So I went and rolled my little boxes of modems on one of those little expanding carts that you keep in your trunk. And I rolled them over the sidewalk and it was all external. All of the entrances into the terminal, they had this glass fronts and everything, and the automatic doors. And I noticed there were a lot of people there. I thought, wow, look at all the people. My goodness. So I just kept on going, and I went right up to the door, ready to go in. And a gentleman greeted me and says, "You don't want to go inside." I don't. I think I do. He goes, we've had a huge earthquake, and I just watched a 36-inch Mitsubishi telephone walk off the bar and fall over and smash. And that stopped me. I was like, yeah, I know how big a 36-inch Mitsubishi is, so that's a lot of force. He goes, the tiles are down. It's a mess in there. So we're just all waiting to be told what to do with us. So I joined the masses, the minions, the folks, the traveling folk, as it were. And everyone was stranded. They couldn't figure out what to do. Well, I wanted to get home to the valley, to my home in Calabasas, California. And so there was a taxi circling the airport. I guess maybe this would be the best way to show a circle. So he comes around and I flag him over, and he asks me in a foreign accent, what I wanted. I said, well, can you drive me to Calabasas, California? It's in the San Fernando Valley. And I said, how much to do that? Because I carry a good size of cash when I'm going. It's whether it's right or not, mostly traveler's checks, but anyway, you get it. And he goes, oh, I have to put on the meter. I started doing the quick math in my head, and I said, no meter. No, just give me a flat rate. He goes, I can't do that. He goes, my company wouldn't allow it. So again, I joined the masses, mulling around, chit-chatting, etc. And the PA system worked. And they told everyone to go into this section of the terminal, I guess, that didn't have any bars in it for TVs to fall off, and to form a line, and they would give us further instructions. So we all went in to the terminal, zillions of us little ants, and we dutifully lined up, and I was chit-chatting with a lady in front of me, and I said, wait, this is meaningless, because all the companies that own the airlines, United, American, et cetera, even Southwest, would want their multi-million dollar jetliners to be safe. So they're not going to leave them in Burbank. They're going to go to some other place. And if there are no planes here, we can't leave, because they would never accept the liability of loading passengers on these planes as they departed. So without planes, what good does it do to line up? I mean, so I started coughing, and I hear the lady in the next line kind of like talking out loud, thinking out loud and talking and mouthing it. I guess I'll just have to drive the car to San Diego. I'm like, oh my word. Wait. Me, I want to go in that area. You can just drop me off in Burbank or some other place, and that's just take me with you, and I'll pay for the gas, et cetera. And just as I finished with that, these three other ladies chimed in saying, I'll go, I'll pay. And so fast forward in the story a little bit, we wind up getting in her car and from the parking lot and tootling along to San Diego. She said, well, wait a second. And I said, who knows what we're going to encounter? I mean, this was a massive earthquake, and I didn't know about the 880 overpass at that time. I didn't know that it totally basically turned and crumbled down. That would have freaked me out. And so, and there are no radio stations. There's nothing for us to turn in. She said, I need to get a few things after all at my condo. We're going to stop there first. And I said, these are crazy times. Do you have a big knife that you can bring along for the ride so that if we encounter any trouble, we at least have some form of defense? And all the ladies looked at me and said, thinking he wants a knife? Well, they thought about it and they looked me over top to bottom. I'm in a suit. And so, he doesn't look like an axe murderer. So they did bring a big knife. I said, just put it in the front under the seat. I'll ride in the back, even though I'm super tall. And they said, no, go take the passenger seat. And then we had 3 diminutive ladies in the back. And off we went on the darkened roads toward the general Los Angeles area, because we had to go that way to get to San Diego, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it was dark because there were no street lamps, whatever, until we finally got, well, it turned into desert anyway, but we finally got to some street lamps where there was electricity. And we continued along and we stopped and got the normal road food, gummy worms, nuts, pretzels, etc., and continued on. And we were pretty casual about it. I said, just, the car you have to drive relatively slow because there might be road impairments and you don't want to run into one of these things. So we're making our way. And I finally got into the Los Angeles area, and she dropped me off somewhere around Griffith Park exit and then continued on her way to San Diego. The other ladies got out. Segue, the one other lady and this is when I found out about the 880 overpass. She had a harrowing story. She was a defense lawyer for the, how should I say it? One of the groups that processes, they're funded by private parties, and they go out and they go after people that have taken advantage of, senior moment, flash on the senior moment. I got to give you an effect on that one. Senior moment is a rainstorm. Yes, my brain is storming. So she was representing clients that were discriminated against Stuckey's by Stuckey's restaurant. Stuckey's was like a Waffle House, and they had restaurants across the U.S. And Mr. Stuckey, 80 years old, I don't think he heard about the civil rights movement. Let's just say that. He lived through it, but I think he was in total denial. And so he continued with his practices. Just imagine that, his practices against people that worked in their restaurants. And this nice, diminutive spark plug of a lawyer was the people's representation on a class action suit against Stuckey's. At any rate, she told a harrowing story. The place she was meeting was right near the 880 overpass, and the building near, well, it was no longer habitable. She had to be rescued through a window by the fire department, went down a ladder, and she saw this crumbled 880. And I don't know how she got to the airport in the first place, but she had all these stories of class action lawsuits, etc., that were brought by, I was thinking, why am I thinking Better Business Bureau? But that's not it. Help me with this. I sure wish that I had someone else on this live stream. It's called a live stream because I can have multiple people. So join me and tell me one of your life's stories. So we made it to LA. I took a cab to go to Calabasas. My dear wife, my dear ex-wife now, greeted me at the door. She was just in tears, and because she used to travel to Emeryville. She knew exactly where I was when this all happened, and she's watching the news, seeing this. So she was a regular, business traveler to Oakland. And she gave seminars on the stock market. For any old timers, it's called Charting the Market with Gene Morgan, and Lisa would do that show. So she greets me, and she's really happy to see me in one piece. And she tells the story of my insurance, the guy that owns the insurance agency showed up at the house earlier, knocked on the door. Lisa, I have Luke's life insurance policies for him. Is he available? Oh my gosh. She was like, life insurance? Yes. No, that's not Lisa's form. She was a great person. And at any rate, there's my story of the San Francisco earthquake and my escape from Oakland. So that'll wrap up our show for today. I certainly wish that I had another guest, multiple guests. This process can have multiple people and multiple windows on the screen, and just like you would see on other YouTube clips, except live and telling stories or talking about whatever that senior citizens would talk about. So that's this show, Senior Talk US, on YouTube @ Senior Talk US. Please visit us. Please subscribe. I haven't put up the subscribe button, but I think it'll still say go to the channel and you can subscribe there, but I have to put up some graphics as well. God bless. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Bye-bye.